Chaos gripped Uriel. A messenger burst through the gates of the Tower of Babel, screaming in despair. The Loki Familia expedition had failed. The news swept through the city like a blade. Fallen adventurers, blood everywhere, and the name of the city's greatest family now associated with the word annihilation. The sight was pure horror. The shattered bodies of the adventurers rolled back from the 60th floor, covered in wounds and blood. The air smelled of iron and despair. Cries of pain and disbelief echoed through the streets as citizens and gods alike struggled to comprehend the impossible, the defeat of Aurorio's strongest heroes. Amid the panicked crowd, Bel Crannel watched, paralyzed. The young hero could barely breathe as he searched, his eyes burning, for a single presence. Aes Wallenstein. She was not among the survivors. No trace of the Golden Swordswoman. No sign of life. Only the cruel silence of absence. Despair overwhelmed him. He wanted to run, scream, deny what he saw. But Ina, his advisor and friend, held him by the back, trembling, asking him to calm down. She knew this kind of tragedy well. She had seen adventurers leave and never return. Her voice, weak and trembling, tried to bring him back to reason. Even so, Bel fought against the urge to run after answers. The ground seemed to spin, and his heart to break. That's when a strong hand landed on his shoulder, that of Leon Sensei, his mentor. The touch wasn't cold, but heavy, firm, full of the weight of experience. In a deep voice, he reminded him of his duty. As a first-class adventurer, keep calm. These words, combined with Ina's sad look and the silence of the wounded, made Bel hold back his tears. The tragedy was before him, and for the first time, he understood the true meaning of the word despair. As the healers hurried to save the few survivors and the crowd watched in silence, Bel simply observed, motionless, the dream that had always inspired him, the symbol of strength that was Aes, disappear like a flame being extinguished. And so, the ringing of a distant bell seemed to echo over the city, announcing not only the end of an expedition, but the beginning of Aurorio's darkest night. The silence inside the Tower of Babel was suffocating. The commotion of the city still echoed outside, but inside, only the sound of heavy breathing and uncertain footsteps filled the air. The survivors of the Loki Familia had been taken for urgent treatment, and the atmosphere was one of mourning. The Hestia Familia was gathered, all with somber faces. Lily trembled, almost crying. Welf and Mikoto kept their fists clenched, while Haraheim hid her fear in her restless tail. Only Ryu and Leon Sensei tried to maintain their composure, though even they seemed on the verge of losing their cool. Bel remained silent, but his heart pounded uncontrollably. Every word about the 60th floor sounded like an omen. When Hestia Sama spoke, her voice was deeper than ever. There was a monster down there, something that shouldn't exist. Before anyone could react, Loki Sama entered the room. Her red hair and vacant stare betrayed her exhaustion. Behind her, Seer walked with a serious face, and, surprisingly, the master also accompanied her. Their presence alone was enough to freeze the air. The enemy we encountered surpassed any known floor boss, said Loki, his voice choked with anger and disbelief. Even the elite adventurers, led by Finn, were completely overwhelmed. The words fell like stones. Nina and Haraheim cowered, and even Welf looked away. Loki continued, clenching his fists so tightly that blood trickled between his fingers. Raoul and a few others managed to escape, but Aes and the others. She hesitated, and the silence that followed was more painful than any scream. Bel felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Aes' name echoed in her mind, empty. The memory of her smile, of her sword cutting through the wind, seemed distant, like a dream fading at dawn. Hestia approached Loki, trying to comfort her. Loki, shouldn't you be with your children now? But the goddess only replied, emotionlessly, they are destroyed. Seeing their state would only make everything worse. There was no more room for bravado, nor for proud deities. There were only broken beings here, dealing with something that not even the gods could understand. While everyone remained silent, Bel looked at his own hands that had grown stronger, but which, at that moment, seemed useless. He felt the pain of someone who has lost a beacon, and the fear that the labyrinth had awakened something that no one could stop. Night fell over Oreo like a veil of mourning. The streets, normally filled with laughter and songs, were silent. Even the temple bells seemed to hesitate before ringing. From atop a rooftop, Belle Crannel watched the city lights slowly fade, one by one, as if each flame represented a dream lost in the labyrinth. The cold wind whipped against his face, bringing back memories of his training with A's, of the times he tried to reach her, and of the words she spoke without knowing how much they inspired him. Now, all that remained was the echo. Behind him, Hestia approached slowly. Her eyes were red, but her voice was soft. Belle, you don't have to carry this alone. He turned, trying to smile, but the weight on his chest prevented him. I can't just go on as if nothing happened, goddess. If something like this can happen, then no one is safe. Not even the strongest. Hestia lowered her head, speechless. For the first time, she seemed as small as he was, a goddess powerless in the face of human suffering. Belle looked up at the sky again, where the Tower of Babel cut across the horizon like a blade pointed at the gods. A's, Finn, Gareth, Lafia, you all trusted that ground, and it betrayed you. He took a deep breath, clenched his fists, and let the wind carry away his last hesitation. I will go down, deeper than anyone before me. If there's a monster down there, if there's something awakening in that labyrinth, I will find it, and I will end it. The words weren't a shout, but an oath. A sound firm enough to shake the air around him. Hestia watched him silently. She knew nothing would stop him. That boy who once dreamed of heroism now carried something far greater, the weight of an entire world that fears what it doesn't understand. As he descended from the terrace, the wind blew again, as if the labyrinth itself had heard him. And, in the depths of the 60th floor, something stirred in response, a distant echo, as if the darkness had whispered back. Come, little hero. Dawn found Oreo silent, as if the city had paused to observe the birth of a new purpose. Belle walked among the shadows of the ancient buildings, his mind filled with memories and promises. The tragedy had left deep scars, but it had also ignited something within him, a flame that could no longer be extinguished. As the sun touched the Tower of Babel, Hestia watched from afar. She knew that the boy who had once set out in search of adventure had changed forever. He was no longer just an adventurer dreaming of glory, but a hero shaped by pain, loss, and hope. The labyrinth, asleep in the depths of the earth, seemed to await him, and Belle, now more steadfast than ever, carried in his steps the weight of an oath and the light of a new beginning. At that moment, Oreo breathed again. Fear gave way to determination, and a new chapter was about to begin. The chapter of the hero who decided to face the darkness alone, so that no one else would have to fall into the shadows.